Welcome to the enchanting world of Finnish mythology, a realm where nature and divinity intertwine. Here, every forest, lake, and gust of wind holds a story, whispered through the ages by ancient gods and spirits. In this video, we'll journey through the myths of these fascinating deities, each one embodying a force of nature. From Ilmarinen's forge that shape the heavens to Tuulikki's playful winds that dance across the land. Join us as we uncover the stories behind these gods. Gods who shape not only nature, but also the cultural soul of Finland. Let's begin with Ukko, the ruler of thunder and skies. Picture this. A mighty figure stands atop the Finnish skies, wielding a blazing sword and commanding the storms. This is Ukko, Finland's supreme god of thunder, whose very name echoes through time. In the ancient Finnish pantheon, Ukko reigns as the king of gods. His name literally means old man, and he's often depicted as a wise elder with a gray beard draped in a blue cloak. The Finnish word for thunder, Ukkonen, derives directly from his name, a linguistic testament to his enduring influence. Ukko's domain extends far beyond mere thunder. As master of the skies, he controls the weather, bringing life-giving rain to crops and wielding his legendary weapons. His arsenal includes a magical hammer, similar to Thor's Mjolnir, and a fire-pointed sword that ignites the very heavens. The ancient Finns celebrated Ukko with a sacred festival called Ukko Juhla, where they would raise their cups of beer to ensure bountiful harvests. Even today, when thunder rolls across Finnish skies, you're hearing what locals call Ukko's weather. While Ukko shares similarities with other thunder gods like Thor and Zeus, he stands unique in his origins. Unlike his Indo-European counterparts, Ukko emerged from Finno-Ugric traditions, making him distinctly Finnish. So next time you hear thunder rumbling overhead, remember Ukko, the ancient Finnish sky father, still watching over his domain as he has for countless generations. Imagine a being so powerful that his songs could shape reality itself. A wise sage who floated in his mother's womb for 730 years while the world was being created. This is Väinämöinen, Finland's greatest hero and the eternal bard of ancient mythology. Born to Ilmatar, the primordial goddess of air, Väinämöinen emerged as an old, wise man who would become Finland's most legendary figure. Unlike other gods who wielded swords or hammers, his power came from something far more extraordinary, his voice. Through his magical songs and incantations, he could bend reality, sink enemies into bogs, and even journey to the realm of the dead. Picture this. When young Youkahainen foolishly challenged him to a singing duel, Väinämöinen's response wasn't violence. He simply sang. His magical verses were so powerful they literally began sinking Youkahainen into the ground floor. That's the kind of power we're talking about. But Väinämöinen wasn't just about magical singing. He was Finland's first shaman, a master craftsman who created the kantele, a magical harp made from the jawbone of a giant pike. When he played this instrument, even the sun and moon would pause to listen. His greatest adventure? The quest for the Sampo, a magical mill that could produce endless gold and grain. Together with his friend Ilmarinen, the divine smith, he journeyed to the dark realm of Pohjola to steal this treasure, facing the powerful witch Louhi in an epic battle of magic and wit. Think of him as Finland's Gandalf, but with a better singing voice. Like the famous wizard, he was both a wise counselor and a powerful magic user, guiding his people through countless challenges. In the end, when Christianity came to Finland, Väinämöinen didn't die. He simply sailed away in a copper boat, promising to return when his people needed him most. Even today, some say that when you hear particularly powerful Finnish folk music, you're hearing an echo of Väinämöinen's ancient songs. From the depths of Finnish mythology emerges a god whose hammer strikes could shape reality itself. Ilmarinen, the eternal smith who forged the very dome of the sky. Imagine a divine artisan so skilled that he could create anything from metals, working in a mysterious smithy with no doors or windows. Born from an iron egg according to some tales, Ilmarinen's name comes from Ilma, meaning air in Finnish, marking his connection to both the sky and the elements. Unlike other gods who ruled through force, Ilmarinen's power lay in his extraordinary ability to create. His hands could work with any metal, brass, copper, iron, gold, and silver, transforming them into objects of wonder. His greatest achievement? The forging of the Sampo, a magical mill that could produce endless flour, salt, and gold. But creating such power wasn't easy. For 3 days and nights, he worked tirelessly, facing failure after failure. First emerged a crossbow with a golden arch, then a copper ship, and even a metal cow with golden horns. All beautiful, but all flawed with dark spirits. But Ilmarinen wasn't just any craftsman. He was immortal, a god who could conjure his tools from his own clothes and use his knee as an anvil. Think of him as the Tony Stark of Finnish mythology, a genius inventor whose creations could change the world. His masterworks included not just the Sampo, but the very dome of the sky itself, complete with stars and northern lights. Yet, like all great myths, Ilmarinen's story has its share of tragedy. When his wife died, he attempted to forge a new one from gold and silver. But he learned the hard way that some things, like love, cannot be crafted from metal alone. Today, Ilmarinen's legacy lives on in Finnish culture, reminding us that true craftsmanship isn't just about skill. It's about wisdom, persistence, and understanding the delicate balance between creation and nature. Deep within the ancient forests of Finland, where moss-covered trees whisper ancient secrets, dwells a deity as old as the woods themselves. Tapio, the mighty god of the forest. Imagine a being as tall as a fir tree, with a beard of lichen and eyebrows of moss, watching over every creature that walks beneath the canopy. In Finnish mythology, Tapio isn't just any forest spirit. He's the supreme ruler of the woodland realm, commanding respect from hunters and foresters alike. Picture him as nature's guardian, appearing as a human from the front but transforming into a gnarled old tree from behind. But Tapio isn't alone in his forest domain. By his side stands his wife Mielikki, the goddess of healing and the forest, along with their children, Nyrikki, the god of hunting, Aniki, Tellervo, and Tuulikki. Together they form a divine family watching over Finland's vast wilderness. What makes Tapio truly fascinating is how the ancient Finns interacted with him. Hunters would never dare enter the forest without first seeking his blessing. They'd offer prayers and gifts, hoping to win his favor for a successful hunt. But here's the catch. Tapio could be quite capricious. Break his rules, like making too much noise or shooting an unusual bird that might be a forest spirit in disguise, and you'd face his displeasure. In Finnish folklore, Tapio's presence was felt everywhere in the forest. Sometimes he'd even play tricks on mortals. Tales tell of his ability to appear as a beautiful woman to weary woodcutters, only to reveal himself as a rotten old stump upon closer inspection. These stories taught respect for the unpredictable nature of the wilderness. Today, Tapio's legacy lives on in Finnish culture. His name graces places like Tapiola, a major urban center near Helsinki, reminding modern Finns of their deep connection to the forest. Even now, when walking through Finland's ancient woods, one might feel the watchful presence of this ancient forest god, still guarding his realm as he has for countless generations. Meet Lemminkainen, Finland's most dashing and reckless hero. Think of him as the Finnish equivalent of Achilles, blessed with good looks and charm, but cursed with an impulsive nature that would lead to both triumph and tragedy. Born into Finnish legend, Lemminkainen was no ordinary hero. Unlike the wise Väinämöinen or the craftsman Ilmarinen, he was a passionate adventurer whose tales were filled with romance, danger, and supernatural quests. His story reads like an ancient action movie, complete with magic, battles, and even a journey to the underworld. One of his most famous adventures began with a quest for love. Seeking to win the daughter of Louhi, the powerful witch of the north, Lemminkainen faced a series of seemingly impossible tasks. But our hero's greatest challenge awaited him at the dark river of Tuonela, where he was tasked with hunting the mysterious black swan that guarded the river of the dead. This quest would prove fatal. Despite all his skills and charm, Lemminkainen met his match at the river's edge. A blind shepherd, using the only weapon that could harm our hero, struck him down, and his body was scattered into the dark waters. But death wasn't the end of Lemminkainen's story. In one of mythology's most touching tales of maternal love, his mother embarked on an epic quest to save him. Armed with a copper rake forged by Ilmarinen, she searched heaven and earth until she found her son's remains in the river of the underworld. Through her determination and magical powers, she managed to resurrect her beloved son in some versions of the tale. Lemminkainen would go on to join forces with other Finnish heroes in the legendary quest for the Sampo, proving that even death couldn't keep this charismatic warrior down. His story reminds us that sometimes the greatest heroes aren't the wisest or the strongest, but those who live life with passion and dare to chase impossible dreams. From the darkest corners of Finnish mythology emerges a tale so tragic it inspired literary giants like J.R.R. Tolkien, the story of Kullervo, a powerful yet cursed figure whose life was marked by slavery, revenge, and ultimate destruction. Born into a world of violence, Kullervo's story begins before his first breath. His family was massacred by his uncle Untamo, leaving only his pregnant mother alive. Even as an infant, Kullervo showed extraordinary powers, surviving 3 assassination attempts through his innate magical abilities. Raised in isolation and slavery, Kullervo's only comfort was an old knife, a memento from his murdered father. His life took an even darker turn when he was sold to the smith Ilmarinen, whose wife tormented the young slave mercilessly. When she baked stones into his bread, breaking his precious knife, Kullervo's revenge was swift and terrible. He transformed wolves and bears into cattle, which then tore her apart. But fate wasn't finished with Kullervo. In his wanderings, he encountered a beautiful maiden. Neither knew they were siblings, separated by war and tragedy. Upon discovering their terrible mistake, his sister threw herself into a rushing river, leaving Kullervo consumed by madness and guilt. Like a force of nature, Kullervo channeled his rage into revenge. He returned to destroy Untamo and his entire tribe using his magical powers. But victory brought no peace. In the end, Kullervo chose to fall upon his own sword, completing the cycle of tragedy that began before his birth. Kullervo's tale stands unique in Finnish mythology, not as a story of heroic triumph, but as a dark warning about the destructive power of revenge and the tragic consequences of childhood trauma. His story resonated so deeply that it influenced countless works of art and literature. In Finnish mythology, there exists a tale of pride, rivalry, and tragic consequences. The story of Ukko, the young challenger who dared to test his might against the greatest sage of all time, only to trigger a chain of events that would end in heartbreak and vengeance. Picture a brash young man from the north, filled with ambition and convinced of his own greatness. Ukko envied the legendary Väinämöinen's status as the supreme singer and sage of the land. Like many young heroes who overestimate their abilities, he made the fateful decision to challenge the ancient wizard to a battle of wisdom and knowledge. The contest that followed became legendary. As their songs clashed, Väinämöinen's powerful magic began literally singing Ukko into the ground. Sinking deeper into the mire, facing death, the young man desperately offered everything he owned, his possessions, his lands, even his golden bow. But nothing moved the old sage until Ukko made the offer that would seal his fate, the hand of his beautiful sister Aino, in marriage. But pride comes before a fall. When Aino learned of her brother's promise, she chose death over marriage to the ancient sage, drowning herself in the cold waters rather than becoming Väinämöinen's bride. Her death transformed Ukko embarrassment into burning hatred. Consumed by grief and rage over his sister's fate, Joukahainen plotted his revenge. He lay in wait with his crossbow, ambushing Väinämöinen during a journey. Though he missed his target, he succeeded in killing the sage's horse, sending him plunging into the icy waters. Today, Joukahainen's tale serves as a powerful reminder of how pride, rash decisions, and the desire for revenge can lead to tragic consequences. His story continues to be celebrated in Finnish art and literature, a testament to its enduring impact on Finnish culture.